Hey there YouTube, Shiratora 1979 Robert here, doing another video, once again another response to Nathan. First and foremost, I was not planning to do any kind of video responses to him. I decided I would try to have a conversation with him about the problems with his latest video, Faith and Reason, Irrefutable Facts. And he proceeded to delete my comments, not answer me, or give non-answers to questions I have asked. And recently he went ahead and blocked me. Now, I will say this. My comments to him were not derogatory, all right? They were not vulgar, and they were on topic about initially his videos and then the answers he gave to me, which he gave one or two, but once again, they were non-answers. So he has since blocked me from commenting. He hasn't unsubscribed from me, I noticed that, but he went ahead and blocked me from commenting from his channel. So he's pretty much left me no choice but to make a video response. So this is going to be multiple parts since I want to basically cover his entire video, which kind of reminds me of a chick track. Which basically a lot of them, some of them I like, not many, because they seem to want to eat. It reminds me of them because what they do is they take so much misinformation, lies, and misrepresentation, throw it at you as much as possible, just throw it all around and see what sticks. And you put out so much misinformation that it takes, for every 1 minute of misinformation you put out, it takes 5 minutes to explain how in so many ways you're wrong. So I'm going to start dealing with the video itself. So, point one I'm going to make actually has to deal with something you said. It tells us in the Bible that if any man asks an answer, you should be ready to defend your position. Okay? So, if you really believe this, Nathan, why do you delete comments who ask questions or try to make points that disprove where you're wrong? And I'm not talking about people saying, oh, the Bible's just lies and all that, okay? Even though I don't think you should delete those either. I'm just talking about people how showing, like I did, how you have misread and mistranslated and misrepresented the verses you have read, okay? If you have answers, why ignore the question? Actually give a real answer, okay? Not one of those, why do you reject all if, well, I'll get to this part in a moment, okay? I want to get to the main video first. All right, to start, your video is actually, even the title is very misleading, okay? If you have faith in something, faith means I can't truly prove it, all right? There's no way I can prove anything, all right? If I have facts of why I believe this that cannot be refuted, you don't have faith, you know something, okay? So what you're trying to do is eliminate faith, okay? Now, when you say reason, your reasoning is dubious at best, okay? And I'm going to move on and explain why. First off, point one, you try to put yourself out as a knowledgeable source about the astronomy, about the constellations, okay? And you say, investigate yourself. Well, you're touching on something I know a lot about because me and my wife love looking at the constellations, have studied them. I pretty much, at one point, not right now, it's been a while since I've done this, I knew pretty much all 88 constellations that are out there. Well, the 88 that are accepted. In fact, I've actually designed, saw a few and say, hey, this looks like this, I will call it this. So I've even given names to constellations of my own. Yes, you can do that, okay? You can do that because constellations are man-made. They are not made by God, okay? God made the stars. He designed them through what I believe through natural processes, okay? But he created the stars. The symbols that we have given names to, the groups of stars, that is truly man-made and technically not even real. Constellations are not real. They are not science. Okay, they are just something we've given a name to. Now, when I say real, is that they truly exist. Okay, no matter where you are, the constellations exist. Well, I'm going to show you here in a few minutes why that is not true. Okay, another thing, if you're going to pronounce them. Constellations, could you please pronounce them correctly? My wife was listening to your video and was on the other two I cannot pronounce correctly, so I'm not going to try. Later on, when she gives me the correct pronunciation, I'll have her tell you. But the one I got that was just so horrible, and I'm surprised you did this, was Orion. It is pronounced Orion. If you're going to try to come off as a knowledgeable source, can you please try and pronounce them correctly? Okay, moving on. The verses you'd bring up in the Bible that say, well, the constellations are science, and look, it talks about constellations, so ergo, the Bible is real, is what I think you're trying to do. Okay, knowledge that farmers had, because constellations were made primarily by farmers and some religious groups, ancient religious groups. But it was... I'm trying to figure out how to explain this to where you will understand it. I don't know if you ever will, but the verses you bring up aren't talking about in a scientific context. You know, this Orion was pretty much known throughout the world, the ancient world of Jesus' time, as this is Orion. So gave him a focal point to talk about God in Job, about God's power, that he can destroy stars, things like that. It's not trying to say, well, God made the names of the constellations, things like that. No, that's not true. If that were true, why would God name constellations after other gods? Doesn't make sense. You understand? It just doesn't make sense. So it's just trying to show the power of God. Now, I pointed this out to you, and before you deleted the comment, you said, I said the constellations are man-made and have nothing to do with science. You brought up the fact of space travel, NASA and all that. Now, this is something, NASA, space travel, space exploration is something I love to study. Ever since I was a little kid, all right, living in Houston, Texas, I was fascinated with space travel, space exploration, okay? I was living in one of the headquarters of NASA. My father-in-law works for NASA. I have studied NASA. I have worked for Space Camp here in Huntsville, Alabama. Yes, I don't mind people knowing the city I live in. It's no big deal to me. But, so I understand quite a bit about space exploration. Apparently much more than you do. Because when you said that, NASA space exploration does not use constellations for anything. The only place that uses constellations is astronomists, people who study the stars. That has nothing to do with space exploration. It's two different things. And the only time they talk about the constellations is talking to laymen, all right? People who don't understand the science behind or exactly what they're doing. They do it as a focal point, saying, okay, the third star of Orion's belt, you look over here, you can, things like that. The constellations don't play any other part in actual science because they don't exist. All right, and the reason I bring that up is because we're getting into the next part. Space travel. Space exploration does not, never will use constellations. Why? Because constellations don't real and only exist when you stand upon Earth. Reason being is when you look up the stars positioning in the sky, which dictates the constellations, are only visible from Earth. When, say, let's just say, for point of argument, actually, I'm going to make a part 2 to this real quick. So, hold on, we'll get into part 2 and continue with my thought in just 1 second.